Greetings, my name is Frank Noe. I'm a gyroplane CFI located here in Frederick, Maryland.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
This is a 2023 AutoGyro brand gyroplane. This particular one is a factory-built certified. It is not an experimental amateur-built aircraft. AutoGyro is the only company delivering certified aircraft at this time. This particular gyroplane has the Rotax 915 engine, which is a newer version of the tried and true older Rotaxes. This one has 141 horsepower, a lot of torque. As far as avionics, I have a tablet Garmin, a 796 Aero, I believe, but there are options to have a full 3GX installed as well, or just steam gauges. Gyroplanes adhere to the sport aircraft limitations, even though they're not actually sport aircraft. So this particular one has a max capacity of 1,234 pounds and a useful load of a little bit over 500 pounds. As far as takeoff and landing performance, it varies drastically with the weight that's on board, but myself weighing 240-ish pounds, the max weight for the seats, by the way, I can break ground within 100 feet. I stay within ground effect, and I can be climbing away within about 200 feet. When people coming from fixed-wing aircraft come to us and start asking questions, they want to know what's your cruise speed, what's your fuel burn, and it's typical of a Cub, something like that, whereas we can go up to about 100 knots. It's not quite as comfortable, so typically when I go cross-country in this one, I'm doing about 85 indicated. The fuel burn when I'm at max power can be up to 7 gallons an hour. Granted, that's auto fuel. I can put MoGas in a Rotax engine, so you're saving a lot right there. But if I pull the power back to about 70% and still maintain about 80 knots, I can burn about 5 gallons an hour. So I got into gyroplanes 10 years ago, and I myself, I'm not a good builder. I know that about myself, so I bought my first gyroplane, the further one, from a man in Texas who had built it, and it had about 100 hours on it, which to me seemed perfect because he had built it and flown it off and all the kinks were worked out of it. That's how I got into the first ones, and that's a very capable aircraft. Because I train also, I decided to upgrade to a newer one that has a little more, the same weight capacity, but has a lot more horsepower. Whereas with my weight, I couldn't take everybody in my old one. Now, the performance doesn't limit who I can take flying now. The difference between the two aircraft, my original gyroplane, an MTO Classic, has a standard Rotax 912, which is a straight 100 horsepower. It's not turbo at all. The new aircraft has a Rotax 915, which is a continuous wastegate turbo, and it's 141 peak. The reason I fell in love with gyroplanes is because, well, I fly high planes for a living. So I don't need to cruise up high. I enjoy, also I'm a map maker, and I just love seeing everything from a closer perspective. So a gyroplane gives you that freedom to maneuver. You can go as slow as 25 knots. You can fly a tight circle. You know, a gyroplane is stall-proof, essentially. If you forget to add power and you get slow, you'll just start a gradual descent. No slower than a parachute falls to the ground. You're going to recognize that, recover, and come out of it. So it's a very forgiving aircraft to fly as well, which is nice. And then another thing I love, and a reason I don't fly my fixed wing as much, is because when I'm going cross country, in the case of an engine out, I can put this guy down anywhere. I mean, if I have a clear area, I could land on a tennis court if I really wanted to. Whereas my fixed wing, I still got to maintain 50 knots to the ground, and I'm going to rip off the wings on a fence post or something like that. Whereas I can put this in and probably not even damage the aircraft, which I really like. So from a safety standpoint, I feel much safer in a gyroplane, honestly. They're just very forgiving in that sense. And, in the areas where it's legal, I fly a little bit lower and I can maneuver and just have a good time. A previous aircraft I had was a powered parachute, and there's a lot of similarities with a powered parachute where you're just exploring your VFR, you're waving to people, you're having a good time. This is a faster, more cross-country capable version of that, essentially.